yeah, Triumph Scrambler's coming up to about 2,000 miles on the clock, so I thought I'd do a review of it before it gets put away for the winter. I don't think we're going to get many quality riding days left. I'm still loving it, done a couple of further modifications, and we managed to get a puncture in the back tyre last week, which we've now got repaired, and we're just taking it for a quick spin while the roads are dry. I put some new levers on, hoping that they'd help with my short fingers being able to reach. They've not improved it a lot, but they've improved it a bit. What I thought I'd do, rather than just do another review of how much I like it, and I am loving it, but what I thought I'd do, I'm getting people asking me, or referring to it as an adventure bike or an off-roader, asking me what's it like off-road, asking me why I bought an adventure bike, which sort of, I mean, I've been watching quite a few videos recently on the pros and cons of adventure bike, what an adventure bike is, and it has to be said, in all fairness, I bought the Scrambler not because I thought I was buying an adventure bike, not because I thought it had got off-road potential. I bought the Scrambler because I like the looks of it. It is the style of it mimics the sort of bikes that I've always had an interest in ever since I started riding motorcycles. The 1950s, 1960s, dirt bikes, scramblers, desert sleds, whatever. I've always had an interest in that style of bike, which is why I bought it. I didn't buy it because of its off-road potential, and in all fairness, I mean, the bike's a marketing department styling exercise to mimic the bikes of the 50s, 60s, the desert sleds, the Steve McQueen bikes, the British scramble scene in those days. They took road bikes and modified them, the factory modified road bikes to make them competition bikes, and it's designed to look like one. I don't think at any point Triumph really had a serious intention of this being used off-road. And I see videos of people basically, let's go see what it's like off-road. And I suppose on forest tracks, gravel tracks, little farm roads, it's adequate. But you could do those roads on any bike, just about. So it's got pretensions, it's got the look of a dirt bike. But in reality, the suspension, the tyres it comes with, the ground clearance, everything about the bike is road orientated. It just looks like it's mimicking, as I said, the style of bike from back in those days. As for it being an adventure bike, again, I've had a couple of people say to me, are you going to fit this, are you going to do that? And I've said to them, well, why would I? And they've gone, well, because it's an adventure bike. And that sort of brings you around to the question, what is an adventure bike? In my opinion, it's not an adventure bike, it's a motorbike that I could and do probably want to have adventures on. But it's not, again, adventure, retro, classic, sport, bikes coming past, hyper sport. Shame I've not got the camera pointing the other way. Yeah, if you didn't catch that, sport, hyper sport, adventure, retro, classic, these are all titles or subtitles that marketing departments give to bikes. It's about selling the dream as far as marketing departments go. So stick adventure in front of it and straight away you're conjuring up an image, not of a bike, but of a lifestyle. The same with sport or retro or classic. Yeah, it's in the classic style, retro style if you like. It's been very, very deliberately styled, especially in the engine department, to look like the original Bonnevilles, the original Triumph twin engines. So yeah, it's a classic, it's the retro, it's part of the retro range, and that appeals to me. You know, I've got a bit of a soft spot for those days. So, but is it an adventure bike? Well, I don't know. That depends on your interpretation, your understanding of what an adventure bike or what an adventure is. I'll tell you what, let's get my kit on and we'll go for a mini adventure, and we'll continue this conversation on the bike. Okay, let's go on an adventure. Oh, let the dogs go. I'll turn the engine off. You've got your hands full.
Good dogs, unfortunately.
Good, yes. Okay, let's go on a mini adventure and discuss a little bit more what an adventure bike is, what an adventure is. And I've already said that I don't think this is an adventure bike, which leads us on to what is an adventure bike? Do you need a big BMW GS? Is that? Again, I've watched loads of videos where the blogger has discussed the pros and cons of the GS's and that the ilk. And the reality is, again, they were similar to this bike. They're a marketing department styling exercise to appeal to a certain section of the customer base. They're big, they're heavy, they're not very practical off-road, and the reality is they're also a compromise on the road because of the size and the weight distribution. Top heavy, centre of gravity is really high. Yeah, they can make quite comfortable long distance tourers, but the reality is if you were choosing one with your head and not your heart, there'd probably be something that was more practical. And I look at the people that I've followed on YouTube, adventure bike riders if you like, and they ride them. There's as many different bikes being ridden as there are riders riding them. I mean, you've got Itchy Boots. Well, she's going to be doing a ride on a Tenere next, but she was on a Honda CRF. $1 Million Bogan, he does his tours on a Harley. The youngest rider to circumnavigate the world did it on a Ducati desert sled. You've got Lavi and Ollie that have done it on a big Suzuki, what would typically be an adventure bike, I suppose. Ted Simons did it on a Triumph Twin that was obsolete by the time he set off, and the factory had shut down by the time he got home. So there isn't, in the reality, I suppose what I'm trying to say is there isn't one single bike really. If you forget the marketing department's titles for these things, there isn't such a thing as a typical adventure bike. You can travel the world, or you can have an adventure on anything. I've seen write-ups of people that have gone around the world on a Honda Cub. I've seen people that have gone around the world on a sports bike. I mean, the fastest circumnavigation of the world was done on a kitted out sports bike. So any bike, I suppose what I'm trying to say is an adventure bike is what you've got under your butt when you set out on your adventure. And I've discussed, I think in previous videos, what constitutes an adventure. I'm currently, as the crow flies, less than 5 miles from my back door. I don't live in the countryside. If somebody was to stereotype where I live in the industrial heartland of England, not in the countryside. But look at this, it's spectacular. An adventure is what you choose it to be. Your adventure is limited only by your own imagination. That could be, I've got an hour to spare, I'm going to have an hour riding around roads that I don't ride often, or roads like this one I've never been on before. So I'm going to have an adventure for about an hour, just having a ride round in my backyard. But it could be that your imagination, what's that junction, wants to take you across the world to the edges of the ocean, limited only by your own imagination and the commitment to actually go out and do it. You know, the thing that stops us having adventure is us. That initial step. And they say the longest journey starts with a single step, don't they? Take that single step. Go on the journey. Enjoy the adventure. Whether it's an hour, I mean, we've all sometimes have to ride for a specific purpose, but how often has the ride to work started a little bit earlier and gone the long way round? How often has the ride home from work taken half an hour longer than it maybe needed to, because you decided to go the long way home? Yeah, you don't. The long way round doesn't have to be all the way around the world. The long way round could be 30 miles home instead of 5. But every ride can be an adventure. An adventure bike is the bike that you ride in, and the adventure is the journey you choose to take. Okay, let's just enjoy some of the scenery. I'll stop babbling for a little bit. There you go, every ride is an adventure. Road closed, take a diversion. Not sure where this is going to take us. I've got a vague idea. I've been up here before, but steaming up as we gain altitude. All I can say is the road's going in the right direction. Yeah. Take the ride, take the adventure. As I say, every ride can turn here into an adventure. There we've got a diversion that was not expected. There's obviously been an accident, and I hope everybody's okay. But it means we're taking a road that I know vaguely goes in the right direction that I need to go, but it's not one I've been down for that I can remember. If I have, it's a long time ago. So we're going to find out where it brings us out. It's not the best maintained of roads. Local landmark. There you have Emily Moore Mast. It's a local TV transmitter. And I know that if I can see that, I'm not far from home. And the thing is, unless you get diversions like that, you don't find roads like this. It's actually quite a decent, interesting road. Okay, just to conclude, I started with a question: did I buy an adventure bike? And in conclusion, I suppose you have to say, yes, I did. If you accept any bike as an adventure bike, I bought an adventure bike. And this ride has been an adventure brought to you by the Barnsley Biker in my latest episode of Barnsley Biker Video Diaries. All I can say is, please like, please subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you.